See, it doesn't take much. You just put, you know, a couple of drum sets up and get a couple of guys to sit down and can play like that. But you just saw some of the best right there. You saw some of the best. And there's so much talent here behind the chair, behind the band, on the chair behind the band and the drum kit. That, you know, a lot of times it gets kind of taken for granted. Oh, that guy in the back. Seriously. You know, and huh? Seriously. You mean that though, seriously. But we are for real. And you know, you can put a bunch of drummers in a room, they're going to have a great time, you know. So they kind of all get along really well together. It's kind of a brotherhood. And just some simple things to think about is, really they're the guy in the back who's kind of driving it the whole time. They're directing it, and they're the sergeant at arms, and they change the band's direction, and they make the dynamics happen, louder, softer, whatever, and let people know where the music's going to go at the next section, even though they might be, you know, a couple of cups in or whatever. And but you just got a great example there of Brannen Temple. Let's hear for Brannen. This is my first trip here, but I've known about this guy for a long time, and we have lots of friends in common, and we finally got to run into each other personally today on this trip. The fabulous, the legend, Mike Clark.
Let's get some more chair, yeah.
We're all bowing down to him. Starting out here, you know, Mike played with Herbie Hancock and played a lot of jazz breaks, and he's been in New York for quite a while, so he's been around doing that since the 70s before, you know, in a real heyday of that kind of music and everything. And, but he also grew up playing the roots back in, I think he played with Delbert many years ago. And then he lived in Oakland for a while. You know what happens to you when you live in Oakland. And, barbecue, yeah, good food. That part of the wonderful culture of our country. A lot more culture comes out of Oakland music than people give it credit for. You know, we talk about New Orleans and Memphis and Nashville and New York and Los Angeles and da. But Oakland really had a thing. And it still does. It still does. Big time. So I don't know if I can remember all the names here. Chip.
Vianas.
Vianas, yeah.
How do you pronounce it?
Vianas.
Vianas. Thank you. There you go. And he's playing with Mingo Fish Trap, which you probably all know. You've seen him. So he's new to me, but I watched this guy play fantastic. And Brannen Temple. Carl Wiggender. Okay. He's playing with Cal James, or... Well, I'm sorry. I'm getting it all wrong. Okay. Richard Millsap, Band of Heathens. Young upcoming. Totally happening. I've been watching this guy for years. You know, he's coming up, and he's going to be... He already is, but look out. And my really good friend, my homie, we grew up 3 miles from each other and didn't know it. In Houston, Texas. Acres home, north side, you know, represent. You know, Jack Gilmore from New Orleans, Louisiana, still living there, born and raised. He saw him with Mark Broussard. Fantastic. Wow, is that funky? Please. And Derek Phillips. I'm playing with Jimmy Hall and the third system. And I've seen this guy play before as well. Wow. Stupid talent. Ridiculous.
Never told him, just
Oh, did I?
yeah.
Any of that guy who grew up, that was close to me, that grew up like 3 miles from me, his name was Herman Matthews.
Yeah.
And this guy is one of those distinctions we were talking about how many people were able to take over the chair from David Garibaldi in Tower of Power. He's one of them. And he did a damn fine job because they keep inviting him back whenever they need him. Monster musician. I've known him for a long time. We're great friends. And I'm sorry I forgot your name. I took for granted they all knew you.
That's okay.
Okay. David Parks. Saw him playing the other day. Casey James, solid, just solid, you know. You walk up the back of the stage and there's this guy laying it down and you see what's going on. You walk to the front of the band and you know why they're all playing that way. Right there. Mike Clark, who I've already ingratiated to everyone. Danny Cochran from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I think he's a favorite here, right?
Yeah.
He's played with a lot of the people on this boat here. the names. So, John Bryant, also from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Grant Young. Ray Charles, ladies and gentlemen. Held a gig with Ray Charles for how many years? 2 years. I'd be lucky to get 2 days. And John Grimsby? Yes. I'm pronouncing it the American way. Grimsby. Is that pretty close? Right. And in the back is Big John Mayer, who's Big Joe. He's not even coming out here, man. He's not really dressed yet. He wanted to wait till he got something on that.
I got him.
Are you changed yet? Are you changed yet?
Get him out of chair.
Joe, get out here, man. This guy's shuffled.
It's Joe.
The fuck is
Big
that guy?
Joe.
He's gonna kick your ass.
It's just my memory, not me.
Big Joe, you know, I've seen you. I saw him the other night, or 2 nights, play with that band of all that great talent on guitars and everything, and he's right in the middle, running the show. So there you have it. I don't know how to open this up with a discussion, but anybody has anything to say, shut me up, okay? Where's Jack Bruno? Jack Bruno. Doing a show?
Everybody.
He's playing with... Hey, let's hear it for Jack Bruno.
Yeah.
I've also known Jack a long time. He lived in Los Angeles forever, and we were... he and I and Herman, that's right, and Brannen have all shared the Teresa James chair over the years, and but Jackie was living in Los Angeles, and he moved to Nashville, and it's a great place to live and raise a family. So, I'm the big mouth with the microphone. I'm from Houston, yeah. My name is Tony Bronigal, and I'm a guest. Delbert asked me, a couple of times, why haven't you been on my cruise? And I went, sorry. So finally, I was able to say yes this year and break up the schedule and coming out, and I'm not regretting a moment of it. It's wonderful. Thank you. Thanks, Delbert.
Check. Hold on.
Thank you.
Tony Bronigal here is a Grammy Award-winning producer, drummer with Taj Mahal. Yes, he has worked with Teresa James, and actually the original drummer for Teresa James and the Rhythm Tramps. That's right, Eric Burden. Oh my goodness, help me out. That's right, Eric Burden, Robert Cray. He's one of my heroes because he got the hell out of Houston when he did. You dig what I'm saying? Ricky Lee Jones. I mean, come on. Bonnie Raitt. So Tony is one of the big ones. He's the cat. So yes, he should be here on this cruise every year. This here for Tony Bronigal.
Thanks, my brother. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's everybody here's got something to say and been really good at it for a long time. I've done a lot of really different things. We could probably take any one of these players up here and interview them for an hour, right, Jay?
Yeah.
And have plenty of interesting things to talk about. I'm going to kind of open it up by saying, what is the early motivation of wanting to be a drummer? Are any therapists out here tonight? No? If there are, maybe you could come back afterwards so we could have a session. So, anybody want to talk about their early motivation? Anybody at all? Stand up and say.
Joe.
Hey, Joe.
You can have that mic there. I can have it. You can do whatever you want.
I like yours. Yeah, I'll take it home with me. First of all, before I talk about motivations or incriminations or destinations, Mike and Brandon. Woo! Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I say this, I am a good guy to lead this off on that question. What was your motivation to be a drummer? I told this last night because someone asked me this question. So when did you start playing drums and why? Well, I was a clarinet player at 10 years old because my dad said, you'll be good at that. But by the time I hit 12, I realized that girls didn't like clarinet players. They weren't that crazy about them. So I started playing drums. Next thing you know, they were interested. Especially since I was trying to play all the James Brown songs, so, I was in good shape. But at any rate, yeah, drums started at 12. And professionally, I've been playing since 69, so 50 years. And yes, thank you. And the one thing I want to say about drumming is, man, these guys, forget about it. But the one thing I learned, I took some lessons from a great drummer by the name of Alan Dawson. And one thing he told me, I didn't take a lot, but I took a few just because somebody said, do it, do it, do it. He said, keep everything, as you notice, the one thing that both these guys have going on, everything's right there. It's within reach. It's not up here, it's not over there. They can get right to it. And Alan told me keep everything, get comfortable, sit down, make sure you can get to everything so you can play. The other thing he told me, which was the most important thing he ever told me at 17 years old, groove. He said, keep that groove solid. And I live by that. And everything I ever listen to, no matter who it is, whether it's jazz, funk, gospel, blues, country, groove. When I hear that groove and I hear it rock solid, man, I love it. And I never forget that Alan told me that. I'm not going to take up any more time because these guys got stuff to say too, but the groove is the deal. And the drummer keeps the groove. Next.
Somebody show us that groove.
Thanks, Joe.
You're practical.
Very important point he just brought up that I had in notes as well is he studied with Alan Dawson, and that is amazing. Even if you took one lesson from, five, there you go. One lesson from somebody like that, or Murray Spivak, or one of those guys, you got something really special out of it. And everybody here's probably got their story about where they got the way they hold their hands. Maybe, maybe not. For me, it was my best friend Willie Arnellis, and then I did it wrong for years, and then I went back and found somebody that like straightened me out and made me feel like a beginner. It was so amazing. The process of having to sit down and go, I can't play like this, And he goes, yeah, you can. Just keep doing it. And I did, and it changed my playing. And that's what happens when you get a chance to go to somebody early on and get that. And then he also mentioned another thing, the groove. And some of us call it the pocket. And, there's some, I'm looking around right now because I'm looking at some pocket here, man, Guys that know how to put the beat in the right place, the back beat, the bass drum, where the bass drum lies, starts out before the back beat pulls the other side of it back and forth. And when they hold the band into a certain movement and a sway, when you see everybody in the band kind of, and it's, the knees start to go, and then the whole room is like that, You know that that's happening already at the drum kit. That's where it starts.
Somebody play a shuffle.
Yeah. Hey, me and Herman are going to play a shuffle.
Oh, now they're going to play the drums. Okay. All right. No break.
Well, I'm going to switch and let Joe play for a little bit. I'm going to start out.
Yes. Yes. Do you approve? Yes. Good.
Yeah. Come on now. Herman Matthews. Like I said, we grew up close to each other, drank that same water, you know. So that's like a, you know, that's what we call a double shuffle, and it's got this origin that you could write a disclaimer about it, and mine is, I could be playing what I call a double shuffle in Los Angeles at 8 o'clock on a Friday night, and I'm from Houston, Texas, and then there's probably a young lad from Louisiana in Detroit at the same time, 11 p.m., playing what he called a double shuffle, and a Chicago shuffle, and I call it a Texas shuffle, and he called it a Chicago shuffle.
Right.
So, you know, it's like, what do you know, it's all kind of off of the same thing. And, but it gets translated all over the world, all over this country anyhow, in different parts of the culture and the city that it came from, and the musicians that it came up with, whether it's Chicago, New York, Texas, Los Angeles, Nashville, whatever. And everybody plays it a little bit different, so that was our style.
The, Tony Browning, ladies and gentlemen. Shuffles for people or for drummers in Texas is pretty much like piano players in New Orleans, you know, with Professor Longhair and having to play, that sort of thing. So, I mean, if you didn't play a shuffle, or if your shuffle didn't stand up, they kick you out of the club. So, I grew up playing with my uncle's organ trio, and all we played was shuffles. And that was the thing. So that helped my groove out. And I'm with Joe on that. The groove is the foundation of what's happening here. And when I mean that, the foundation of life. You know, it's like, first of all, welcome to the church of what's happening now. No. I mean, you know, the groove, the gait, the bump. It's all of that. It's like when you're walking, you know, your heartbeat, you know, it all goes into that. So that's what the groove is all about. And I was telling Joe when everybody was getting things together up here and everyone was playing, my personality is not so much to stand out as a drummer. I blend. I am the foundation, or my goal is to be the foundation, to be the heartbeat. I mean, I want you to tap your foot. I want you to dance. I want you to shake your ass to what I'm playing. You dig what I'm saying? And that's what all these guys represent. You know, I mean, and I don't care what kind of music it is, it all has a groove. It all has a groove. So anyways, that's my thing. Thank you.
Yeah, baby.
Well said. Well said. It was just brought to my mind here that we should try something that was quite influential to all of us, and hopefully it will fuse into the next thing that I was going to introduce. And Derek Phillips, Chad Gilmore, I want them to introduce, we're going to get to another very strong, rootsy, cultural thing that happened mostly out of New Orleans. And, you know, call it jazz, call it Haitian, voodoo, African, whatever the influences are that came out of New Orleans, which are all pretty amazing and obviously the most unique city in the United States, the most international city in the United States, and has more culture than anywhere else. You can also walk around with a drink out in the open, and they don't mind showing their culture. But there was a guy from New Orleans that played on so many records that were seminal. His name was Earl Palmer. So Brannen brought up maybe we should start out with that Earl Palmer thing a little bit. How that little kind of swing, double beat thing turned into a shuffle, but it was also a part of Street March, kind of. It comes from Street March, which is also a kind of second line as well. And so, would you guys mind, the two of you? Please, you're left-handed. We have to take a second here. We got a lefty with us, come on. Let's give it up for a lefty. All his life has been struggling to go and sit down at somebody else's drum kit and is like, no, excuse me, man, I got to move shit around, you know, the other side. So he needs a minute to do that. We have to respect. We got to respect that because this brother plays really, really, really well. And seeing it with Mark Broussard the other night, man, I was blown away. Mark Broussard, please. The talent on this boat.
What a great idea this is. This is a great fucking show.
Boy Vance's band. And there's something, you know, like Herman was talking about how we play into the music, you know. The best drummers play the song. So, seriously, if I can, you know, I say, how do you play a song on drums? Well, you got to play to the song if you want to make it work. And if you want to make the artist sound good and have the song, you have its proper arc and everything. And when you play that way, it's very, very effective. And watching Paul Hamilton, is that his name?
Yeah, Paul.
Yeah. Hammy the other night, man, beautiful. When he was playing those songs and painting with the drums.
Are we anyone here?
I'm going to give a quick little musical anecdote, take my little turn, if you will, before we play for you guys some more.
Chad Gilmore.
First of all, it's very humbling and inspiring to be in the presence of all these great drummers and musicians on this boat. It's really, really a cool aspect of what this thing is all about. Secondly, I feel very fortunate to have grown up in New Orleans, an amazing musical city, and to grew up with my father's a drummer. So I got a lot of influence from an early age, and I'll share something quick with you that my dad told me about music, and I never forgot it. He said, think of music as a conversation, right? We're part of the conversation, each of us on stage. And any conversation involves knowing what to say and when to say it, and knowing what not to say and when not to say it. And every great conversation has a lot of listening going on. So I think that translates perfectly to music. I've always approached music that way. I echo Herman's sentiment 100%. For football fans, the drummers are the offensive line of the team. We don't need to be talked about, but if we mess up, the whole thing's going to shit. Cheers, everyone.
That's beautiful. This is going to be one of the greatest shows ever on SBC. Yeah. I'm watching it right now.
Now I'm nervous, man. Why am I here?
So back on theme here, let's talk about Earl Palmer just a little bit and kind of let's start with something from that kind of
What song?
Everything Little Richard did.
Yeah, or Fast Domino. I'm walking. I'm walking.
I'm just going to reference something that's best to like reference a song. Derek Phillips and Chad Gilmore. Chad, you want to say anything else? So basically, they started out with this groove from a famous song that you might recognize, and from New Orleans, and it's everything. You know, it comes from that sort of street march thing. If you ever go to a parade in New Orleans, you'll see everybody come dancing like this. That's kind of the beat. It also gets into a second line thing, which is a little bit more African, and that it's got a little bit different sort of clogging to it. So, big word, clogging. The way it feels and everything. So that's very, very important to American music. You know, all of those, that beat, those beats that, you know, modern pop music started with those beats really in New Orleans many, many years ago, and we all grew up on it. And
Tony, much like you, the sentiment you echoed about the shuffle, that's very present and true about the second line as well. You know, its origins are in the street musicians, so it's not a defined, studied, you know, this is what it is. It's not a black and white thing. So there are many, many interpretations of the New Orleans street beat. And the most important thing, which seems to be the repeating sentiment here, is to make it feel good.
I don't want to talk out of turn because Chad can elaborate much more on this, but the beauty of the second line, those who don't know this, usually it's used when it's as a procession. Usually what's happened is when someone dies and is buried, they play a dirge or slow, kind of somber tune walking to the cemetery. And back in the day, I won't preach like that. But the beauty of it is once they rest is buried, they bury the body, they want to celebrate the life. So the first line was taking the body to the cemetery, and the second line is leaving, and then they had played uplifting songs like this when the Saints go marching in. So that's where that joy, that dance, that vibrancy is about. So, and also just on the general note about drumming, I like to add my 2 cents about it is drumming. Everything that everyone else has said is spot on. We are the foundation. We're accompanists as drummers. We're supposed to make everyone in front of us and around us feel good. Like I tell my students all the time that we control the mood of a piece, the dynamics and volume of a piece, the feel. If we play on top of the beat or behind the beat, laid back, we control so much of how the song is emoted when you hear it in full form with vocals and all instruments. So there's a lot of responsibility we all have. But the beauty of us is we're supposed to be a support system to make sure that when you hear the song, we bring it to you in this purest form, in the most complete form that tells the story it's supposed to. You know, we're compositionists, and so everything we play should be compositional. Even when we take a drum solo, there's a lot of stuff that I know Chad can play, but he kept it in context with the second line. He stayed in form with the song. He didn't get out of context. He didn't show you everything he can do. He played to the song. And so I think that's a role that we all should accept and hold mightily. It's nothing that we shouldn't feel bad because we're in the back. Yeah, that's a heavy weight to carry, and so we should take that and know that people are relying on us to do a great job. So that's what I love about being a drummer.
Yeah. Amen.
See, where do we go next? Pick out a couple of things we talked about earlier. John Bryant, who's here playing with Glenn Clark, but you've seen him with Red and a whole bunch of other people, and as I mentioned earlier, Ray Charles survived 2 years with Ray Charles. And there's a couple of classics that you grew up on that he had to play every night. And we were wondering if John could help us demonstrate one of those. And anybody want to play what I say?
I'm going to turn this thing back to right. Make it normal.
Somebody want to play?
Yeah, got to make the left. Next year we make the lefty last.
Chad, could you put the drum kit back, please?
Next year we make the lefty last. Lefty last. Save him
You
for
need the
last.
brutal thing. Okay, John Bryant.
Thank you. First, let me say this is just such a wonderful opportunity, and drummers do love each other. We're brothers. We're not hiding our licks from each other. We can't wait to show the next drummer the last lick we learned. It's not quite like guitar players are kind of, drummers care about what all of us are doing and sharing it. And I do have to say, going back to that first thing about the inspiration, I'm one of those drummers, one of those tens of thousands that the week of February 9th, 1964 came alive and picked up the drumsticks when I saw Ringo Starr. That week, I went down to the local music store, started taking drum lessons, and the girls, that had something to do with it, Joe, you know, didn't want a clarinet. I was happy to, so that was an important time, and many people started playing the drums off of seeing that. And quickly I discovered Buddy Rich and Earl Palmer and all the different styles and wanted to take that in. And of course, Ray Charles was in on that. Ray was difficult to work for in some cases because he was blind. And he couldn't look at the band and tell the band and give them an eye and give them this and that. He had to speak to the band by way of the drummer by foot. Because Ray would, you know, he had the body thing. He had the motion going. And if you were not with his feet, you were dead. You were in trouble. It was a world of trouble to be in. And that's why so many drummers had a rough relationship with Ray. I got along with him well because I did exactly what he asked me to do. Except one night, it was April in Paris, 1975, and I was feeling a bit cocky, and Ray had, you know, it was beautiful, it was wonderful. I thought I had this gig down, and Ray finished every show with What I Say. He never did an encore. It was always What I Say. So I decided I could just change the beat just a little bit. Now this is not a smart thing to do. Because that beat, as he told me later, is a part of history. It's written in stone. So I'll show you how the beat goes. I'll show you how I changed it a little bit, and then I'll tell you about what happened. Does this work? So it goes like this. So that's how Ray taught me to play the beat. Now, this is how much I only changed it. This is how subtle it was, and Ray heard everything. So the bass player sometimes would go doom 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 and anticipate that one beat. Now the beat goes. The bass drum is always on 1 and 3. Well, what I did was. Pushed it. I did that little push. So what happened that night was something like this. What? Hey, what? So, son of a... What the hell are you doing? Shit. Oh, no. So that was the reaction. And so I jumped right back on it. So right after that, we finished the song. Ray's valet comes straight up to me and says, Ray wants to see you in the dressing room right now. So I go back to the dressing room. He's hot. He says, John, how can you do that? What's wrong with you? That beat is written in stone. That's a part of history, son. You can't be changing that beat. Don't ever do that again or you'll be on the side of the road. So I was on probation. So the next day they bring in a brand new chart for rehearsal. We never played it before. Ray knew it. So it has a chorus. It gets to the chorus and Ray turned to me and said, John, now here's what I want you to play on the chorus every time. So, write it down. Don't forget it. That's what I hear on the chorus every time. Okay, Ray, I got it. And the way he'd tell you is he'd go. This was the bass drum, and this was the snare drum. Okay, got it. So you think he's going to pull that new chart up that night, but he doesn't. He waits a week, 2 weeks, and then out of nowhere, he pulls that chart up. And now, anybody that knows Ray Charles knows he's a great chess player, and he's got every move planned. So we start that chart, the band's kind of feeling their way through it, we're playing along, Ray's doing this, everything's fine, comes up to that chorus, he's going along, and he kind of stops a minute, cocks his ear back, and he goes right back to playing it. And if I hadn't played that, it would have been hell to pay. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Okay. What you want to play that? Or?
Yeah, why not?
Play it for a little while. Come on.
Man, that's history right there, huh? I want to say I met John in Nashville. 4 or 5 years ago. I run a show called the Nashville Drummers Jam, and he showed up and brought all kinds of items to for a raffle giveaway for a charity. And he called me earlier today and said to be down here. And I'm grateful to be around all this greatness and everybody on the cruise ship, and I'm just thankful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Danny Park Show. Well, guys, I got a couple of ideas of how to wrap it up if we're going to wrap it up. I don't know. Anybody got any questions? The answer is no.
What a great question.
I don't think we have anything to do for the next 3 or 4 hours. Should I bring some sandwiches in? Anybody else? Yeah. Somebody else.
What's before the beat and after the beat?
What's before the beat and after the beat?
Well, he was mentioning.
Well, one is rushing and one is dragging.
Yeah, but they, yeah.
What's before the beat and what's after the beat? Somebody play on top of the beat.
Well, I tell you what.
Big Joe.
I'm here. Just because Can I get a little more monitor? Is that possible? No? Good. There might be inspiring drummers out here. So I want to talk about a couple of things that have been covered and have not. And Ray Charles is a good example. I knew a couple of drummers that played with Ray. And the reason why I say that is because all the stuff these guys are playing, unbelievable, crazy, perfect, love it. But I'm gonna tell you one thing. Being a singing drummer, I know this. One of the hardest things to do is to play real slow. And trust me, Ray would have your number on that. And I'm just gonna, don't even play it. He would do this thing on a song called Drowning My Own Tears. And he would go, every tear. Look out. You better have that groove exactly right. As you talk about the word I say, oh my goodness. If you mess up Drowning My Own Tears, boom, 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 boom. And then a couple more things for inspiring drummers. We're talking about shuffles, you know, the double beat shuffle. Like that. But then there's also what they call backward shuffle. Still a shuffle. And then there's just a swinging shuffle. All shuffles, you know. So inspiring drummers, those are a couple things to drum with you. But the double shuffle, which is, you know, Chicago, New Orleans, LA, you name it, it was all over the place, you know, and it's very cool. It's very cool. And all these drummers got it down pat, which is great. But I'm working on it.
Play it again!
I'm working on it.
Sing us one. Maybe Joe sings us.
I think one thing I want to do that we haven't covered is Let's Swing One.
Come on,
Yeah,
and sing.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
What you got there? You got something good? You pick one, man, and I'll do it. You know, one you know. I don't know.
Make a history, Jack.
How about it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing? G minor? Okay. Ha 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 ha. Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Don't mean a thing, all you got to do is take a sip and this is sweetheart. Give that to the everything now. Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Throw your horn, man.
They could rotate on the other drum.
Watch me.
Thank y'all. All these drummers, how about it? Hey!
Yeah!
Give it up!
Yeah! What a great show.
Big Joe Mayer, huh? That said it all right there. That was a whole chapter.
Come on, take a bow, you guys. Jesus. Huh? Oh, you're not done, huh? Talk to us, Danny.
When I come from Texas, and the whole deal about shuffling, I thought I knew until I got with Hanson Thunderbird, and we played an Albert Collins song. And man, these clips, this fast thing, and I couldn't really, I thought about just playing it straight, but then that ain't the deal. It's a double, you know, and just any Albert Collins. Okay, 2.
Thanks, Danny. Albert Collins was from Houston, Texas. Was that a Houston shuffle? Anyhow, so anybody else, please? I know everybody back there's got something to say. You want to wrap it up? You want to got an idea? You want to play? Chip? Got an idea. You got an idea?
Oh boy. Good.
Chip Yanis is gonna.
He's starting some kind of mob action back
Yeah,
there.
he's got some mob action going on back here.
Yeah. Mallet mob.
Do a revolving thing. Just one guy plays and the other guy stops and just keep going.
Hey, you know what? With this, whatever you want to do, but this could lead into whoever has a play, right?
Yeah.
Jump up. That's what I'm saying. And then just keep it going, and everybody plow through, and then we'll, go 10 minutes, and we'll be done.
Yeah.
Lunch.
Bingo. It's been the best show on the boat so
Let's
far.
do a big round of applause for Red and the gentlemen who are accompanying us. And they took the time out of their day to come up here with a room full of noisy ass drummers. You know what I mean? This is fantastic. So thanks again, guys. Okay, we're gonna kind of make a big old free for all here. Chip is gonna start an idea, and whoever else wants to join in on the drums, we're gonna circle around it and try to get everybody to play a little bit. And then you're all going to have to go have lunch after that.
Yeah, you're all going to have to go home.
Thank you very much for coming out, for your attention and your time. We really appreciate it. We hope you were entertained by this, and you know a little bit more about drummers.
Tony is a little bit, he's new. Is this one working? Oh, never mind.
Wow. That lifted me up for the rest of the week. Yes. Jay White on bass. Red Young on keyboards. Ed Freeman on bass. Saxophone. I recognize him, but I don't remember his name.
Eric.
Eric. Let's hear it for those guys.
Eric Bernhardt.
Let's give yourself a big hand.
Wow,
What
great
an honor
job.
to be here and to do this. Thank you very much for coming out.
Yeah. Here we go.